This is going to be a daily experience video. In the update video, I was thinking about sharing some thoughts on my relationship with God. How is it going? But then I decided to make a separate video out of it. As you can probably perceive it, I'm quite slow today. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry, to be honest, because I spent a lot of time like today in silence, and it slows my mind down so much that it's like I have way less thoughts and my mind is not that busy. So yeah, somehow I get slow in talk as well. Oh, it's not something you should follow or anything. Like, you shouldn't do that. It just somehow happens to me. There are seasons in my life when I love just enjoying what I already have, what I already know of God, what I already have of the perfect freedom. And there are times when I feel like nothing is enough for me and I have to dive deeper. And these days I have this longing for God. I know it doesn't make sense in terms of like we are completely united to God, but there are times when I just want to dive deeper into Him. And yeah, this is a time like that. I know I've told this many times, but I have this season again when I'm like not that interested in most of the things that are going on. And there were some times when I was like just laying on my bed and just longing and daydreaming about like experiencing Him more. And yeah, He had to calm me down that just the longing itself is the presence. Like, it's not that I lack anything. So I was like, I'm all in. I want to see You more. And what happened is that I started to spend more time just giving Him more time, like staying longer and spending more time in silence and things like that. And to be honest, it was quite terrible. Like, it was bad. Like, all the terrible thoughts that I ever had been multiplied in my mind. So I was doing really bad for a few days or weeks. I don't know how long it was, but it was not good. And I wasn't panicking, but it felt like, shouldn't it have good fruits that I spend more time with God? Like, why am I feeling bad? So I wasn't expecting like crazy manifestations. I'm not. I left behind that expectation long ago that God should show up in a certain way when I spend time with Him. But just to feel way worse than at the lowest point of my depression years before wasn't looking like a good fruit, to be honest. Like, and I don't have like a dogma about it or a teaching that, but it's something, it feels like to me that if you want to dive deeper into God, your whole being gets just messed up. That there is some turbulence about it. Like, it stirs up the spiritual world, but it stirs up like your own world, like your own emotional world. And I don't know which one is more effective in that case, but it was intense. And On Saturday, I was expected to be at a gathering, interdenominational thing, and I usually spend the mornings with God. And I had 3 hours. And the first almost 1.5, I don't know, something like that, was with my mind going all over the place. It wasn't that much fun. And after a while, all of a sudden, I just felt like I'm in an experience something like the Shack. I really loved the book and the movie as well, but it was a bit similar, but not the exact same venues or spots and not the exact same characters. But it was like being at a beautiful place in a cozy home with the Trinity as your family. It's like I had been adopted into a new family. And they were loving me in a way that I needed love. Like they were responding to certain bad memories and things that happened to me with love. Like there were certain points in my childhood and my ministry life as well where I had like painful experiences, and they just said something that I would have needed at those times. Or they loved me in a way that I had needed love back then at those certain points of my life. And it was great. It doesn't really make sense to share with you because they were like very personal things. And those stories doesn't mean anything to you. Yeah, it was great. They were responding to every lie and hurt I had with some truth, with some love. The father was really cool. Like he was an old man, but also cool. The cool old guy. He looked a little bit like Dan Moller. I love Dan Moller anyway, but maybe your mind just has some say into your visions, I think. Yeah, but the latest version of Dan Moller. It was fun. And the Holy Spirit was really like my mother. She was very soft and kind and gentle and as a lady, but she was also teaching me stuff, and she was so kind. And Jesus was like an older brother in that case. Like I always wanted an older brother. I'm the oldest, so I always wanted like an older brother who is smarter and stronger and can do stuff for me. And actually it had happened later because all my ministry friends are boys that are a little bit older than I am, or way older than I am. So this is something God has given me in multiple ways. So it's not like this is the greatest hurt in my life. Yeah, so in those dark days, I felt like I'm nothing but a bunch of hurt. And nothing terrible had happened to me, and I was aware of this. Like, there's nothing bad going on with me. These are just thoughts and feelings. But it was annoying that it felt like all the things I think I had healed from felt like they are not healed at all. Like all the journey I have behind me is actually ahead of me. Like it felt like I had been put back to the start. And I have to restart my whole healing journey and everything. And of course, it was a lie. Like, it was all about like making me believe that I don't have the freedom that I have. But it was bad. Um, and on Saturday, like after a while, I started to see this heavenly thing. I don't know whether it's in heaven or in my mind, or heaven is in me. Yeah, so both of it. I don't know. I don't have much teaching about that. But it feels like God just takes me to trips in the inside of me to show me things of Him and of me. Um, and sometimes I find myself thinking about like, oh, I really would love to be adopted to a normal family. My parents are Christians and they are kind and they love me, but they are also very much not healed of many emotional issues and many mental issues, and they gave me what they could. Like, they weren't terrible, but they weren't also doing that well. um, yeah, so they are not on the at the end of the abusive spectrum, but they are not the clearest representation of the family of the Trinity. And there is nothing wrong about it. I don't have any unforgiveness, anything about that. I'm fine with it. But sometimes it's good that you can become aware of your need to experience the perfect family of the beings of God. Because of your story. Like, God really wants to give you a new story. And if your story is not that comfortable, it can help you realize that you need a new narrative. Like, you need to be born again. Like Nicodemus had this issue, like, should I go back? And it is something like that. God takes you back. Like, oh, this is the family where you need to get your customs and traditions and ideas and ideologies and memories from. And you are not your family story, you are not your past, you are not your memories, you're not your pains, you're not your trauma. We are your story. And it's not just about like God rewriting all of your memories one by one, because it takes a long time. Sometimes He does that, but it's more about like having a new story altogether. Like, I am no longer what I thought I am. Like, I am no longer the girl who grew up like this, who had been treated like that, and who behaves like that because all of this. I have a new story where I had a perfect family life coming from the family of the Trinity. It's so good. I spent like a few 1 or 2 hours crying as I experienced the different kinds of love from the Trinity, and I was like, maybe I'm not gonna be able to go to any meeting today, but I was able, and God told me that, oh, it's a long story, we're gonna continue this, and you're gonna switch back to this mode where you see those different sceneries with us. They were beautiful spots and beautiful sights and landscapes as well. And it was like it wasn't a very fancy house, it was a cozy home, but not exactly the same as in the shack. I remember when I started to walk with God, I remember Jesus was the closest to me, in my head, of course. And And I felt like he took me home to introduce me to his dad. And I was afraid of his dad. I didn't want to meet him. I was like, oh, yeah, maybe he will be angry with me, so don't mess with him. He's just don't wake him up, you know. We can sneak out. So I remember that, and now I really enjoyed the father. Like, he was cool. He was picking me up. He was like joking with me. Yeah, I like that. He behaved a little bit like my ministry friends at times. Yeah, I have some ministry friends who could meet my father. They are that age. They are 50-something dads, and I could be their daughters, and sometimes they treat me like that. Actually, like, I have no female friends in ministry circles because it's not very culturally acceptable for a woman to be in full-time ministry in Hungary. Sorry. Yeah, so I have one friend. She's a pastor of an international church. She's a woman. And she's the only friend I have who is full-time ministry. Girl. Yeah. So if I want to have friends, they will be guys. But it's all fine. Yeah, but sometimes some of my hurts came from them as well, because they weren't always that sensitive towards me. Like, they weren't always treating me that kindly. And sometimes I have to deal with those hurts as well. Yeah, it was just an add-on. So I was like having a 2-hour cry with the Trinity, I think less, and I had been given a lift to this meeting, and I felt like I'm not gonna talk too much in the car. I'm probably I'm gonna be silent, and I continued a little bit these Trinity experiences, and I had a great time at the retreat, like meeting people, practicing the presence in silence, talking long hours about all the struggles I had the days before. And I have a favorite monk friend who spent most of his life like waiting on God, most of the last few years actually, and he is way beyond those struggles I have with contemplation, and it's fun to talk to him. Yeah, so I had a great time, like, playing and taking trips in the rural areas of Hungary with those friends, talking about grace and worshiping and eating a lot. Yeah, and every now and then I switched back to this love of the Trinity kind of experience, and I still continue it at times. It feels like I can be there anytime. My mind is not always ready to be there, but it feels like I can be there anytime. So yeah, these were my daily experience stories. It wasn't daily, it was more like a season, but yeah, tomorrow I'm gonna practice presence live with you guys. It is gonna be a Hungarian silence, so but you can feel free to join. Some of the viewers hear me talk about like being silent with God, and somehow it helps them if we do it together. So as absurd as it sounds, I'm gonna be silent in a live YouTube video tomorrow. There's gonna be a 24-hour worship at Pentecost, and also John Crowder is coming to Budapest in October. These are the events I can share with you. And also there is retreat back to the Father, which is all about experiencing the love of the Father. And I had already been there once, and it's gonna happen again. And if you are interested, it's gonna be in English as well. So if you happen to be in Hungary, you can be part of that. I'm not organizing it, but I can send you the link if you write me to my email if you're interested. So yeah, it's gonna be in English and translated into Hungarian. Yeah, just receive everything I ever had and way much more. God bless you.